Mr. Speaker, today I'm rising to inform the House of an extremely serious matter. I just informed the leaders of the opposition directly, but I want now to speak with all Canadians. Over the past number of weeks, Canadian security agencies have been actively pursuing credible allegations of a potential link between agents of the government of India and the killing of a Canadian citizen, Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Canada is a rule of law country. The protection of our citizens and defense of our sovereignty are fundamental. Our top priorities have therefore been, one, that our law enforcement and security agencies ensure the continued safety of all Canadians, and two, that all steps be taken to hold perpetrators of this murder to account. Canada has declared its deep concerns to the top intelligence and security officials of the Indian government. Last week at the G20, I brought them personally and directly to Prime Minister Modi in no uncertain terms. Any involvement of a foreign government in the killing of a Canadian citizen on Canadian soil is an unacceptable violation of our sovereignty. It is contrary to the fundamental rules by which free, open, and democratic societies conduct themselves. As you would expect, we've been working closely and coordinating with our allies on this very serious matter. In the strongest possible terms, I continue to urge the Government of India to cooperate with Canada to get to the bottom of this matter. I also expect it to reiterate that its position on extrajudicial operations in another country is clearly and unequivocally in line with international law. I know many Canadians, particularly members of the Indo-Canadian community, are feeling angry or perhaps frightened right now. Let us not allow this to change us. Let us remain calm and steadfast in our commitment to our democratic principles and our adherence to the rule of law. This is who we are and what we do as Canadians.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Nawai Aatish-e-Gul channel on YouTube. This is Rana Abdul Baqi. We use these video talks on the basis of research matter given in reliable books. Today, we are going to talk on a very important international issue which has taken attention of many important countries of the world. I mean to say, diplomatic row over the killing of Canadian citizen Hardeep Singh Nijjar in Canada by Indian government agents. Ladies and gentlemen, a diplomatic row commenced between Canada and India after Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau called on India to cooperate in the ongoing murder probe of a Canadian Sikh citizen, Hardeep Singh Nijjar, by an Indian government agent on Canadian soil. Meanwhile, the Indian government, instead of seriously cooperating with the credible allegations concerning the murder probe of and let the justice follow, Indian government expelled a senior Canadian diplomat in a tit-for-tat move amid strained diplomatic relations. The viewpoint expressed by the Canadian Prime Minister that the involvement of a foreign government agent in the killing of a Canadian citizen on Canadian soil is an unacceptable violation of Canadian sovereignty. This viewpoint is quite understandable. Recent press reports emanating from America also indicate that US agencies also confirmed Indian hand in the murder of Pradeep Singh, while US government has also asked the Indian government to cooperate with Canadian government and investigations. Ladies and gentlemen, as a matter of fact, the Indian government was visibly baffled over the participation of Sikh community in peaceful referendums expressing the will of Sikh community for giving autonomous status to Sikh domain in East Punjab as Khalistan. These referendums were judiciously carried out in Canada, USA, UK, Europe, and Australia. It appears that Indian External Intelligence Agency RAW was tasked by BJP government of Narendra Modi, which is a known political wing of RSS, that is Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh, which was also declared as a terrorist outfit in the past by US-based Terrorist Research Center. Since BJP government came into power in India, RSS has rejuvenated Sangh Parivar, that is the Sangh family, into one formidable force. Dr. Mohan Bhagwat, the RSS chief, chief of RSS, he heads the Sangh Parivar, which includes VHP, Vishwa Hindu Parishad, Vishwa Hindu Parishad, commonly known as World Hindu Organization, the Bajrang Dal, known as Hindu Unity, and other setups, who maintain their strong presence in foreign countries including Canada, USA, UK, Europe, and Australia. Normally, Indian raw diplomats who have strong presence in Indian diplomatic missions keep active links with these Hindu organizations and at times use them in third-party operations. Hence, the demand of Canadian Prime Minister asking the Indian government to join investigations to verify the credible allegations on the involvement of Indian government agent in murder of Pradeep Singh is understandable, because in the past too, Indian raw diplomats were involved in undesirable operations and activities in Canada. I'll give an example. In the past, Indian government, instead of finding a negotiated settlement of Khalistan issue domestically, restored to armed operation against Sikh activists, killing hundreds of Sikh citizens led by Jarnail Singh Bhandarwale, and completely destroyed Sikh religious temple, the Golden Temple in Amritsar in 1984. Later on, after the assassination of Indian Prime Minister Mrs. Indira Gandhi, thousands of Sikhs were killed in New Delhi, Mumbai, and other cities of India. I wish to give you the background of Indian involvement in Canadian affairs by quoting an Indian operation earlier in 1980 in view of the Khalistan movement. The Indian government considered the Sikh Canadian community main helper of Khalistan movement, has not hesitated to launch a sabotage operation to malign Canadian Sikh community as a criminal community so that they could have asked the Canadian government to expel these Canadian nationals from Canada. Let us see what the writer of book Soft Target, published in Toronto, says about Indian involvement in undesirable activities in Canada. Now I'll quote. The Indian intelligence agencies were convinced that the Khalistan movement had links in Canada. The Indian government asked RA to undertake an operation to defame the Sikh settlers in Canada to the level of a criminal community. The mission was entrusted to the third party, which had been mothered by RA, which tailored an operation exploiting the emotionalism of pro-Khalistan Sikhs for putting explosive material in Air India flight number 182 on 23 June 1985 and blown it up, with 329 innocent lives were lost. RA succeeded in its conspiracy, but the diabolic role of Indian Consul General Surinder Malik alerted the Canadian Intelligence Agency, RCMP, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and CSIS, Canadian Security Intelligence Service. And they came to the conclusion that the Indian government had double-crossed them. Brian McEntrew, in his well-researched book Soft Target, published by James Lomrer and Company Publishers, Toronto, have fully exposed the raw criminal act of blasting the Air India flight to implicate the Sikh community and to provoke the Canadian government crack down on various Sikh outfits in Canada supported the freedom struggle in East Punjab. The Canadian intelligence agencies found themselves in a great dilemma over the destruction of the Air India Boeing and the bomb blast in the transit package of Cathay Pacific. They could not figure out how all this could happen. So, ladies and gentlemen, in view of the past experience, the Canadian Prime Minister is right to ask the Indian government to join the negotiations, to also join the investigations over the credible allegation which have been found by the Canadian intelligence agencies. As far as I know, the Indian intelligence use Chakrata checkpost, which in Dehradun, in which they train all saboteurs belonging to RA in coordination with RSS, the Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh. They have used them in Bangladesh, they have used them in Bhutan, they have used them in Sikkim, they have used them in Nepal, they have used them in Sri Lanka, as well as in Afghanistan and Pakistan. So, an investigation is very much necessary to find out why the Indian government is undertaking these murder or assassination operations in other countries just to violate their sovereignty. Thank you very much.